Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Jimpact Zone. James Gisanti's your host. I have to remind you because it's been like 15 years since I've reviewed Impact. I'm sorry, guys. I want to do it more often. I'm camera shy, but luckily I've got my good buddy Chad Big Bad Johnson with me tonight. Luckily, it looks like this is going to be a more recurring thing between the two of us. Chad and I realized something. Not only are we madly in love with one another, we have great wrestling chemistry. So I'm very excited to have Chad with me. Like most people, he's not too familiar with Impact. So this was, I believe, your first episode in a long while.
Yes.
And what did you think of it, man?
I enjoyed it. I'm back.
You're back.
I set my DVR to tape so that I can watch it, even if I miss it, Thursday night. I'll try to catch it Friday, or I'll watch your Jimpact zones.
I totally trademarking that. Totally going to make it a thing. T-shirts will be made. But yeah, I thought this was a good show for you to start with. Next week, they promoted the hell out of it tonight. AEW did. Take notes when you have a special event coming up. We have Emergence next week. So while this isn't quite the go-home show, a lot of groundwork was laid for next week. And good stuff. So why don't we start off with the opening match, which was the Virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, taking on one half of the Impact Knockout World Tag Team Champions, Rosemary. She was accompanied by Jessica, and she was accompanied by her co-champion, Taya Valkyrie. So, Chad, what did you think of the match? How familiar are you with any of the women in the match?
Okay, so of course I know Deonna.
Yeah.
I love Taya. It was, first of all, let me just shout out Taya. It was amazing to see her. WWE dropped the ball with her, so I was super excited to see her. I've seen Rosemary, I believe, once or twice, but now I'm a little more into her. I've never seen Jessica before, so this was my first outing with her.
This is a bit of a character change for Jessica. Okay. They alluded to it, that she was lost in the land of, I think, the Undying, or wherever it is, the Deadlands.
Okay.
And she came back as part of this group. And Rosemary and Taya have had a long friendship, a long history with Impact. When Taya left Impact to join NXT, it was a beautiful goodbye between two best friends who were very close. And then as soon as she came back, it was like no time had passed. It was really sweet. It was really, it's a beautiful friendship. And I'm echoing. Beautiful friendship between these two. And it's really great to see them be Impact Tag Team Champions. And now they've got like this, as Taya described her afterwards, this new baby to the group. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting dynamic. Next week at Emergence, we'll see Rosemary and Taya defend the tag titles against Deonna Purrazzo and her best friend, Chelsea Green.
Oh, I love Chelsea Green.
Oh, yeah. She's way better in Impact than she was ever in NXT or the main roster in WWE. They're the two real life best friends in Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green. And, they're planning Deonna's bachelorette party on Impact. That was something that was planned last week. And Jessica was very upset she didn't get the invite to that party. And I am too. I who doesn't love a good male stripper? But that's two jokes tonight, and you know what happens when you do it more than twice? It's no longer funny.
It's habitual. No,
it's it's something I've got to work through, clearly. But yeah, I love this feud. There is a lot of big personalities at play, and I thought the match was very good. Rosemary fought through a bad shoulder, taking on Deonna, hitting that nice spear that she. Unfortunately, the ref couldn't see because Jessica had her distracted, and then Deonna rolls her up for the 1, 2, 3. What did you think of the match, Chad?
I actually enjoyed the match heavily. I think, was it WWE who had Deonna at one point in time?
Yes, they did have her in NXT, and she had a very unhappy experience there. She did not like her time there, and I don't think she ever got anywhere near the main roster.
Okay, they absolutely dropped the ball with her as well. I think her potential is unlimited. I've watched her in Mickie James' match, and I've seen a few of her championship matches in the past. But I mean, she's just firing on all cylinders. She's great. Like, I love seeing her. I'm here. She's eye candy. Her moveset is good. She's good. She's good.
Deonna Purrazzo feels like a big deal in Impact. It's unfortunate that her big exposure to larger crowds with NXT didn't quite pan out, or AEW, because she was the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, that she went against Mercedes Martinez in that match that was pretty heavily panned when they were unifying the titles on was it? No, it wasn't at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. It was on Rampage, I think, or it was it was the main event at Dynamite. Okay. And the crowd just did not know who Deonna was, and nobody cared about Mercedes Martinez. So the match had crickets. But in Impact, she's presented as such a big deal. She feels like such a star, and she comes across as such, and she wrestles as such. So good win for Deonna, building up momentum going into next week. So what do you think of this all-girl group?
When they did the promo, if you allow me to fast forward.
Go ahead, fast forward.
When they did the backstage promo, Taya was good, and I enjoyed Rosemary. She could dial it back maybe a little bit, but other than that, I still enjoyed it. I'm not sure how I feel about Jessica promo-wise. I would have to see more to, I guess, grasp her character, but I am looking forward to, seeing more from her so I can get a valid judgment, per se.
Definitely. Yep, I totally agree on basically all fronts, and excited to see where this goes moving forward. Moving forward, for reals here, we had a nice backstage promo with Honor No More and Matt Taven and Eddie Edwards. And, there's a little distrust going on right now as they're getting ready for the fight of their lives as they take on Bullet Club at Emergence, where if Honor No More wins the match, they get a tag title shot. If they lose, they disband forever. Now, Chad, Eddie Edwards also questioned PCO's allegiance and his ability with Vincent backing him up. What did you think of the promo, and what do you know of Honor No More?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked, because that was I was going to bombard you with questions. I knew exactly who Eddie Edwards was, and I knew who PCO was only because before the show came on, they advertised him as main eventing with Gallows. Yes. So I caught the name. Also, good job, Impact. I of course know Maria Kanellis and her husband, Mike. I don't know anybody else in the group.
Yes.
So the guy who was in the center, who actually took the most shine for me, I don't know who that was, but I was super interested. And then there was a black guy behind him who I also am not familiar with.
Okay.
But the group as a whole looks really intriguing. I'm kind of like, what the hell is going on? I wish I had watched a few episodes prior so I can get more of a gist.
So this is a group of former Ring of Honor wrestlers. Every member of this group came from Ring of Honor, and when Ring of Honor shut down and all of their contracts lapsed, they migrated to Impact. So the Honor in Honor No More Ring of Honor. At various points, they've all carried gold. PCO is a former world champion. Eddie Edwards is a former world champion. Matt Taven is a former world champion. Vincent was just at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view defending the trios title against Dalton Castle and the boys. Mike Bennett, we know him as Mike Kanellis in WWE. We don't use that name anymore. And Kenny King, a guy who's very known in Ring of Honor and Impact, bouncing back and forth over the years.
Was he the guy in the back?
I don't know.
Who was in the middle? Who was the mouthpiece of this?
Initially it was Matt
Eddie
Taven.
Edwards.
Initially it was Matt Taven.
Okay.
Yes, his big thing is he believes there is a conspiracy theory against him and his group and everybody. And I'm a big fan of Matt Taven. But
I like him.
The best person to compare Matt Taven to, unfortunately, He's got Baron Corbin heat. A lot of people. I don't think he deserves it by any stretch. It's just people are not thrilled with him. His big claim to fame is he won the Ring of Honor World title at Madison Square Garden when Ring of Honor was like, this is our big show with New Japan. And that match had Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll. So in hindsight, Matt Taven was the perfect guy to win that belt. But nobody wanted Matt Taven in the main event at Madison Square Garden. And that Roman Reigns heat of we don't want you at this point, he just has not been able to shake it. So Honor No More have basically taken Impact by storm, and they don't want to go. They don't want to leave. So interesting bit. And it's interesting because they're heels, and typically Bullet Club are heels. But in this feud, Bullet Club is absolutely the baby faces.
Which is funny because Bullet Club is always still kind of teetering because everybody likes them so much that it's hard to boo Bullet Club. This
version of Bullet Club USA, Bullet Club Impact, it has some well-known names. It has the Good Brothers. It has Hikuleo, who's the brother of former Bullet Club members Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. So he's a Tongan, And then we have some young guys, Ace Austin and
I know him.
Chris Bay. Ace Austin carried Impact through the pandemic era. And Chris Bay only recently joined the Bullet Club when Jay White was doing his thing here and he recruited him. So it's a very dynamic group of guys, some young blood that have a lot to prove, and 3 of them and 2 veterans who I would not follow Gallows and Anderson anywhere, but it's what they've got. So good little promo between the 2 of them, sowing the seeds of dissent. That was a lot for a promo. Then we had another segment with Giselle Shaw talking about her upcoming match with Masha Slamovic. Now, we'll get into the match later, but Giselle Shaw talking about, scouting her opponent. We don't really got to talk too much about it, I don't think. But we do have then a digital media championship match with Brian Myers defending against Black Taurus, who is accompanied by Crazy Steve. Now, Chad, I won't lie. This was a weird match, but in a great way. I know a lot of people who only know Brian Myers as Kurt Hawkins from WWE. The fact that he's carrying gold is a shock to a lot of people. But Brian has really reinvented himself here in Impact. He's the most professional wrestler, and he really puts the professional and pro wrestler. And he's a dick, and it's beautiful. And I love Black Taurus. He is so explosive, so violent, so tough, and it's so cool to see him. A dream match right now for me is Black Taurus versus Luchasaurus. So what did you think of the match?
Okay, so first off, I'm so glad you pronounced that correctly for me because, of course, I was coming in here to say Black Taurus. But,
I understand.
I was amazed at Black Taurus. I'm like, the stature, the stamina, the movement. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I am slowly but surely falling in love with Impact because there's so many people that I don't know that I want to know more, and it's so intriguing. I am one of very few people, we are a small lump sum, who really, really enjoyed Kurt Hawkins, regardless of...
Oh, I loved Hawkins. I'm right there with you. I love Hawkins.
Regardless of the L's he's taken, him and Zack Ryder were all the edgeheads. Like, I'm an edgehead. I totally love his career, like, throughout everything. So for me to see him with gold was amazing. I was like, oh shit, this is cool. And then the match was good, so I couldn't complain. I'm with you. It was weird, and I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I felt the electricity. So without a shadow of a doubt, I enjoyed it.
So to give a little background, Brian has been ducking Bhupinder Gujjar, the man who came out at the end of the match. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that in a second. He's been ducking Bhupinder for weeks now. Okay. And an open challenge was set last week that he denied Bhupinder from accepting. So who accepts? None other than Black Taurus. So he went from one guy he was afraid of to another guy that he should be legitimately afraid of.
Yeah, it's a big guy.
And going into this match, you know, this was Bryan's first title defense, even though he's had the belt for a while.
Okay.
And somehow he survives, rolling Taurus up after, and despite using the ropes himself, and Tarus's legs touching the ropes.
Yeah.
Tarus has a legitimate argument against this loss here. Despite the cheating, he didn't get away with it. And Bhupinder Gujjar throws him back in the ring, where he gets destroyed by Tarus, Crazy Steve, and then Gujjar getting the final blow in before they stand tall over Brian Myers. So are you looking forward to this match? Are you intrigued by anybody? What do you think?
Absolutely intrigued. I know who Crazy Steve is. I remember when he ran with, I want to say, the Menagerie. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
with Mike Knox.
Yes, the Menagerie and Decay.
Yes,
Decay was the big one.
Now, is Decay Rosemary in them?
Yes, Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and Black Tarus are the current members of Decay. Taya Valkyrie is a part of it sometimes. I don't know.
Right.
It's hard to describe. As her friend. Yeah.
Partner. Okay,
but initially it was Abyss. TNA original Impact legend Abyss, who was part of the original version of that group. And now they've sort of substituted for Tarus.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm all in. I like anything dark and sci-fi or supernatural anyway, so I'm all for that. The guy who interfered at the end, I don't want to butcher his name. What is it?
Bhupinder Gujjar.
Bhupinder.
Yes,
okay, Bhupinder. I have no earthly idea who Bhupinder is, but I saw him and I said, he's pretty cut. He looks like he can be a contender. Is he fighting at Emergence next week?
I mean, wouldn't be surprised if we get Bhupinder versus Kurt Hawkins.
Brian
Myers, but I don't know if it's officially confirmed yet.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm interested. And I'm always gonna follow and look at what Brian Myers is doing, whether it's being a dick or making a fool of himself. So I'm here.
And he does it so well. He does it so well. Moving on, we have another backstage promo with Jordynne Grace talking about her upcoming match with Mia Yim, defending the Knockouts Championship at Emergence. Jordynne Grace and Mia Yim are friends, and Jordynne Grace says that while she respects and likes Mia Yim, she's no different than any other opponent, where she is just an obstacle. And she asked Gia backstage, what does she do with obstacles? She goes right through them. So it should be a good Knockouts Championship match. I'll jump ahead a little bit as we had a return or a counter promo where Mia Yim was being interviewed by Gia and talking about how she's ready to take the title, when another Impact knockout legend, Madison Rayne, came out and was upset about the highlight video that they had shown for Mia, where she's clearly on the receiving end of a beatdown and losing the title years ago. And out comes everybody's favorite wrestler, Gail Kim, where she, if you didn't know, Chad, she books the knockout division for Impact. So she decided rematch time, Mia Yim versus Madison Rayne. What did you think of it?
Okay. Anyone who knows me knows I absolutely adore Gail Kim. I have always adored Gail Kim. So anything that she is a part of, I would like to be a part of. That's number one. I'm not familiar with Jordynne Grace, so this was my first time seeing her, besides the little slander or whatever that was going on Twitter. So that was cool. I felt good seeing Mia Yim. The only thing that disappointed me as a former Impact fan, or rather a fair weather Impact fan, the hell is Mia Yim not Jade? That blew me. That really, for some reason, pissed me off. I cannot explain why.
It's a good point because she has history and Impact. She's a former Knockouts champion, so you kind of want to ride that. But I guess Mia recognizes that her star has probably risen since the last time she was in Impact. Her time in NXT, even though she was never known as Mia Yim on the main roster in WWE, WWE fans, more mainstream fans, would know her as Mia Yim. So I could see her wanting to go from to compare it to somebody else, her Cactus Jack phase to her Mick Foley phase.
You know what? I respect that. Thank you for putting it that way. I'm not so mad. And also, I've always loved Madison Rayne. Always.
AEW is now Madison Rayne. She's going to be on Rampage tomorrow for some inexplicable reason.
She's a great talent, though. So
yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's been around the wrestling block, and any locker room is going to be better to have her guiding it in some way.
Agreed.
So, I'm looking forward to that championship match. Jordan Grace, Big Mama Pump, as she gets called.
I like it.
She's a Scott Steiner stan. She's very tough, known for mixing it up with the guys. Was the first digital media champion before losing it to Matt Cardona.
Yes,
sir.
I did watch that.
Doing your homework, man. Yes. I love it. I love it.
Watch that one.
So, Jordan Grace is not somebody to sneeze at, and it wouldn't shock me to see her one day go for the Impact World Championship. But we'll get there eventually. Let's see if the world's ready for another knockout as world champion.
Who was the other knockout who was the world champion?
How do I put this? Fuck her father, fuck her family.
Oh, say less. Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. Oh, I'm so disgusted.
Yep. Impact's really got fucked there. But anyway, I don't want to dedicate a second of Impact time to that woman. We move forward to an interesting matchup between two of Impact's brightest new knockouts, Masha Slamovic and Giselle Shaw. Now, Masha has been undefeated since her debut back in January, going 13-0.
Okay.
Hasn't had any real competition outside of the Influence, which was Madison Rayne and Tenille Dashwood. And tonight, Giselle Shaw definitely gave her her toughest match. Slamovic dominated most of it, but at the same time, Giselle Shaw surprised us all and herself with some of her offense, landing a huge running knee on Slamovic that scored a 2 count. And Giselle also did something that no other knockout has been able to do. She has been able to kick out of Masha Slamovic's offense. This was a new big showing for Masha before finally derailing any momentum Giselle was building with a snowplow. I think that's what they called the move, the snowplow driver. Mm-hmm. And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it was the snowplow. 1, 2, 3, and Masha Slamovic continues to be undefeated. So, what do you think, Chad? This is, I think, your first time being exposed to either woman.
Yes.
Did they impress you?
Yes, they did, actually. So, going into the match, it was, I don't know how obvious, but to me, it was kind of obvious that Masha was like a big deal. And then that's when I heard, the undefeated streak. Yep. I see the crowd was kind of behind her. So then I thought, okay, is this person fighting her, Giselle Shaw, is she supposed to be, the squashy or the talent enhancement? So that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be a squash match, 1, 2, 1 and done. But when I started seeing Giselle's offense, I actually kind of am more intrigued by her being the quintessential wrestler as opposed to Masha. Masha did she did great, but now I kind of am all about Giselle Shaw. I want to know who she is, what she does, how many wins she has, all her feuds. So I'm going to be researching that probably all weekend now. Thanks.
She's a relative newcomer and, trailblazing in her own way. And it's good to see that Impact recognizes that and didn't just continue to have this be another squash match. Slamovic dominated, but at the same time, Giselle got some firsts in. So I think we're going to start to see some bigger matches for Slamovic, and they recognize that there is something there with Giselle. So the quintessential diva. Go ahead.
I also wanted to ask you, who is the Knockouts champion right now?
The Knockouts champion is Jordan Grace. So her match with Mia Yim will be for the Knockouts World Championship.
Okay.
And the tag team champions are Rosemary and Taya.
Mm-hmm.
And digital media champion Brian Myers, world champion Josh
Alexander. Yes.
There you go. It's a lot. But we're gonna get.
It is.
That.
I'm getting there though.
Yeah. This is night one. And right. Hopefully we start bringing people into the Jimpact zone. The Impact Zone. So moving forward, we had a tag team match between the Motor City Machine Guns and Violent by Design, being represented by Joe Doring and Diener. Now, the Motor City Machine Guns, we have Alex Shelley, who's getting ready to go against Josh Alexander for the World Championship next week at Emergence. He won that number one contender spot by beating his tag team partner, Chris Sabin, in an excellent match. And it's shocking that we're only getting Shelley's first one-on-one world title match in 20 years with Impact next week. Okay. But not to bury the match here, it was a nice tag team match that the Motor City Machine Guns won. I'm not surprised. We had, after the match, Violent by Design's leader, Eric Young, finally come out to do some attacking because he's not happy that Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin keep interfering in Violent by Design's plans, and a little jealousy. I think he wants that world title spot for himself. But who comes out to make the save? None other than Alex Shelley's other tag team partner, the time splitter himself, Kushida. I am a big fan of Kushida. Big fan of the Time Splitters, big fan of the Motor City Machine Guns. So I'm excited for all of this. I love this trio. And they announced a match for Emergence. It will be Chris Sabin and Kushida versus Violent by Design's Doring and Diener. What did you think of the match? A lot of new names for you, a lot of some familiar names for you,
right,
and a returning name for you. What did you think of everybody?
So first, I will say that I did check out for like the first maybe 5 minutes because when Violent by Design came out, I was like, holy hell, I don't know who anyone is. but I kept hearing Eric Young, and I'm like, oh shit, that's my boy. Where's he at? So I was expecting to see him, and I'm glad he came out later, but I'm with you. I love Kushida. I am very familiar with Chris Sabin. I'm sort of familiar with Alex Shelley. So them getting the win was, the best bet for me because I knew them more. But I am interested in Violent by Design because I do like Eric Young, and I do believe he has an untapped potential that I feel like I might only see on Impact.
Eric Young?
Yes.
The moment he came back to Impact after leaving NXT, he won the World Championship again.
Okay.
They recognize Eric Young's... Eric Young, what he brings to the table, they recognize.
As they should. And I remember his feud with Bobby Feud in Impact and Bobby Roode in Impact. I remember his feud with Bobby Roode in Impact some time ago, and I thought, both of them can go. So I knew that there was something there, but again, NXT, how, sometimes it just doesn't work out the way we wanted to or whatever. But yeah, I knew Eric Young was talented. So now, me knowing he's the helm of this group, I'm much more interested in figuring out what they're about and what's going on.
That's awesome. And we talked
and the match was good, even though I checked out shortly. The match was actually good. It went well.
Yeah, it did. And did you mention Kushida? What, you happy to see him?
Oh yeah, I love Kushida. I think he should have been back at Impact. He was doing absolutely nothing in NXT. I think he's a great talent that needs to be showcased, if not weekly, at least bi-weekly, because he's definitely he's a household name, I think.
I love Kushida, and he's technically under contract with New Japan.
Okay.
So he's doing his thing here in the States for Impact, where he gets to be with his buddies. I think this is the best of both worlds for Kushida, as he's getting ready to probably go for the junior heavyweight championship back in Japan. So wins all around for Kushida, and I love it.
Absolutely.
moving on, they announced the match in the backstage promo, and then we had a match between Sammy Callahan and Raj Singh. Callahan pretty much dominated the match from the bell to bell and finished the match with a crossface chicken wing for the submission win. After the match, he was confronted by the lights go out, and he's confronted by Moose and Steve Maclin. Now, Chad, let me get you up to speed. Mm-hmm. Moose is Mr. TNA, Mr. Impact. And I specify Mr. TNA because even when Impact became Impact and there was an Impact World Champion, Moose carried around the TNA Championship. Yep. That's why you saw Kenny Omega carrying both belts when he won it from Rich Swann. He and Callahan have been feuding for quite some time as Sammy Callahan is trying to protect the honor of Impact. And out of nowhere, a sort of budding partnership between Steve Maclin and Moose has developed. We don't know why, we don't know how, but Maclin has been out here supporting Moose for a while now. For a little while. Okay. So what did you think of the match? What did you think of what came after? And are these first impressions for anybody? Callahan is a former NXT guy, and Moose has some exposure, I guess, with AEW. But Maclin is probably a new guy for you.
Okay, so I want to say that I've heard Macklin's name a few times. I hate to say it, but I feel like he's either married or has a girlfriend that is either well-known or I know who it is.
He is engaged to Deonna Purrazzo.
There we go. That would be why. So I obviously follow her on something and I've seen him. That's all I have for him. Sorry, guy.
It's fair. He's good. He's good, but I get it.
Yeah, so he was probably the least known. I've always been a fan of Callahan. He looked almost unrecognizable at first because he's put on a little weight. Yeah. However, I know that he can go. I've known that he can go forever, so I already knew he would deliver. As for Moose, I mean, I think that's when I started watching Impact again. He was the best champion of wrestling, as he said. I mean, him taking it from Josh Alexander when he was weak and him going against Matt Cardona and W. Morrissey. I loved all of it. That was great for me. And I'm actually a little upset that I missed the end of his reign because I kind of thought he was either still champion or still in the...
He lost it back to Josh Alexander in a fair one-on-one match.
Which makes sense.
I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to surprise you with some negativity. I am not a big fan of Sammy Callahan.
No,
I recognize what he brings to the table. He's a very different style of wrestler, which is always good. Different is always good when it comes to wrestling. But for me, I have a tough time buying him. Okay. If it's a death match, if it's an Extreme Rules kind of match, if it's a hardcore style match, sure, I buy Sammy Callahan. But when it's a regular one-on-one bout, it's hard for me to get into him. It's probably something I've got to work on. It's not something I think he's doing wrong. It's just I never got a good vibe from him in NXT, and I think it carried over to me from Impact. I'm trying to keep an open mind, and I think he's doing fine with what he's doing, but it's hard to take him seriously against someone like Moose.
Moose is a premier athlete.
He absolutely is.
He's really a premier athlete, and I actually think he's not talked about enough because, again, he kind of carried me back to Impact, and I was watching for him. Yep. Those weeks are probably, I think I watched it for a solid month and a half. So all those months or weeks, that's what had me watching Impact. And like I said, him and Cardona and W. Morrissey, that for me was almost epic. It was great. It was good quality television, and I loved all of that. So yeah, give Moose his flowers, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, he re-signed with Impact somewhat recently, so we're going to see him in Impact for the foreseeable future, and he's a great man to represent the company on an athletic front. Moving forward, we had a recap of Killer Kelly's debut from last week on Impact. Killer Kelly has a lot of buzz Impact is hyping her up big time. Wouldn't be surprised to maybe see her go against Slamovic at some point. But what did you think of that promo? What did you think of the recap?
Perfect package. I think don't quote me. I will say, I mean, WWE is clearly, the trendsetter, but I think besides WWE, I think Impact treats their women's division probably the best I've ever seen on television.
Absolutely.
And like I said, of course we go with WWE because, it's what we know. I'm brainwashed, whatever you like to say. That's fine.
It's fair. No, it's fair.
I haven't been watching Impact as long, but the women's division clearly means something. I've seen it the whole night. The presence was there. The package was great. I want to know who Killer Kelly is. I've never heard of her, and I'm invested as if her first match is going to be the best match I've ever seen. I'm here for it. I love it. It was new. It was refreshing. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I don't know who the hell she is, but I hope she gets off.
I think she will. They gave her quite the debut last week, taking out the two Ohio Valley Wrestling girls. I think she's positioned to take on Tasha Steelz, who is a former Impact Knockout Women's Champion. And it should be a good first match. So we'll see what happens with Killer Kelly. Wishing her a lot of luck. Not that she's going to need it.
Tasha was in a team with Kira Hogan, no?
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
I'm very aware. Wasn't she knockout champion?
Yes, very recently. She took it from Mickie James,
right,
and then she just lost it to Jordynne Grace somewhat recently.
Gotcha. Okay, so my timeline is not that.
I am. You are doing all the work here for me, so thank you so much.
No problem, man.
We had another backstage promo, lots of them tonight, where Bullet Club, Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin talked about Gallows' match with PCO, where Gallows said that he was going to send PCO back to his creator. Okay. I mean, we know who that is, I guess. So that's cool. And then Chris Bay and Ace Austin talked about making sure that they were going to disband Honor No More at Emergence. Pretty run-of-the-mill promo, despite, the death threats. So what did you think, Jed?
I may be in that small group again. I don't know why. I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm not the biggest or even slightly smallest fan of Gallows. I don't know why. I don't know if he has allegations or if he's done something outside of wrestling or anything, but just, I don't want to say he's big for no reason, because he has some skill. Obviously, that's why he's been here forever. But something with him just doesn't click for me. I'm fine with Anderson. I'm cool with the rest of the Bullet Club. So the promo was fine, but it's just something about Gallows that doesn't do it for me.
No, I get, you are not alone in that. Okay. The Good Brothers are a very controversial group pairing. A lot of people will either love and defend the Good Brothers or will change the channel the moment either of them are on TV. I think their presentation tends to be key. The way they were used in WWE did them no favors. Mm-hmm. Even their time in AEW, they were always, I wouldn't even say second fiddle. They were like third fiddle in that super elite group with Kenny and the Bucks and then Gallows and Anderson. So I totally understand. I do see value in both Gallows and Anderson, especially as, veterans in the ring. It's always good to have that group. And, the match that followed with PCO, we'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. But I think Gallows was the right guy for that match. And that pairing is the right pairing for what this Bullet Club needs. So they're technically working in Impact right now without contracts. Their contracts expired and they chose not to re-sign. So don't know what that means for their future. Don't know if they plan on re-signing and they're just enjoying being contractless. Don't know if they're going to head to New Japan. Don't know if they're going to maybe join the rest of their Bullet Club elite friends in AEW. But yeah, moving on to the main event. Mm-hmm. we had PCO taking on Doc Gallows in a street fight. This was fun. This was violent, not by design, but it was a brutal match, which is PCO's. It's his trademark. Okay. Have you ever seen PCO before this, Chad?
I feel like I may have seen a picture or two, but I've never seen an actual match.
So I get it. You know, not a lot of exposure for PCO. PCO is a former WWE talent from the 90s. From the 90s, where he had a very Canadian gimmick. Pierre, I forget what the C stands for.
The Quebecers?
Yes, he's from the Quebecers.
Are you serious?
I swear to God.
When you said Canadian, it clicked, but holy shit.
Yep.
Oh, so I have seen him wrestle.
He has completely reinvented himself these last few years.
Yeah.
Where he brought, he went to Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. And in Ring of Honor, he saw a huge career resurgence. Okay. He was part of Villain Enterprises, Marty Scurll's group, where he was teaming up with Brody King, actually, Malachi Black's partner. They were the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions there, and they had Flip Gordon there as well. And he quickly stole the group from Marty. And not in I'm a bad guy and I'm going to take the group from you. It's just the group, like, fans gravitated towards PCO, where this man would attach himself to a car battery and shock himself. He would, his workout videos are insane. He's bending steel bars. He's ripping phone books in half. He's taking staple guns to the forehead. The man is insane. He'll do moonsaults off the top rope to the outside, onto tables, onto the apron. It's disgusting. This man wants to probably die in the ring, and I hope I never see it, but I would not be shocked at the rate he goes. And this match was 100% in his wheelhouse. We had a brutal match that had table spots, chair spots. At one point, PCO cut the ring mat off. And then who got chokeslammed through the ring, Chad? Was it PCO getting chokeslammed?
Yep.
The man will always take a beating for our entertainment. Oh God, he goes through the ring, guys, through the exposed mat, through the exposed wood, and he just took a beating, being tossed onto the spines of a row of chairs. I think the only major offense this man got in, the only violent offense this man got in, was the chokeslam to Gallows through the table on the outside.
Yes. It was very one-sided.
Were there any highlights for you?
Absolutely, the chokeslam through the ring. I said, what the fuck? When I first saw the guy, now it makes sense that you said he's a fucking Quebecer. When I first saw the guy, I said, holy shit, they have Festus wrestling a 60, 70-year-old. Now, here's the kicker. I actually liked Festus.
Festus was a great gimmick, and I will die on that hill.
I don't like Gallows, but I liked Festus a lot. I even liked Jesse, but I liked Festus more.
Fair point.
First thing I said was, oh my God, this guy is super old. This is Mickey Rourke and the Wrestler all over again. Yeah. I was sad, but then I saw everything he endured.
Yep.
And I was like, oh shit, who is this guy? Now I want to see him every week. So I liked it. It was carnage, devastation, violence, chaos, destruction, all the things that I look for in a match. I felt shades of ECW, and it was great. I'm so glad he walked away with the win, because everyone knows I do not like Gallows. So
you made that quite clear. Poor Gallows.
This was a good match. It was a good 20 minutes. It felt like a main event. I'm here for it. I really enjoyed it. I did.
It was a good showing and a good lead up to next week for Emergence in this tag match. I won't lie to you. I love PCO.
Okay.
He does not fit in Honor no more.
I can kind of see that.
He is a very different piece of that group. While everyone else, it's not hard for them to get booed. The crowd wants to cheer PCO. So I think the sooner he separates himself from that group, the better. I'm not saying he should be a solo act because I don't think he quite works as a solo act. Mm-hmm. But maybe put him with Decay. Maybe put him with Crazy Steve and Black Taurus. I think that would be a much better fit for him.
Especially as like a Frankenstein-esque character. Exactly. I think they were saying that does make sense. I like it.
I highly recommend to you, and I highly recommend to everyone watching, go check out PCO stuff from Ring of Honor. His entrances, he comes out in Madison Square Garden. He had a magical entrance. I won't spoil it for you.
Okay,
but
I'll definitely watch it, though.
The man is a unique character in a day and age of wrestling where we don't really get those too much. Okay. So a lot of love for PCO. I really want him to take a break because God, his body can only take so much, but great match. The right guy won. And yeah, that was Impact.
I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was good. As you said before, being a fan of wrestling now is the actual best thing ever because you get a little of everything from everywhere. Like there's good wrestling in every single company. It's great.
I completely agree. Look, we all know WWE is the main event in professional wrestling.
Right.
AEW has a lot of excitement. It's got a lot of love. It's a good alternative. To me, Impact Wrestling represents the other side. You know,
yes,
it doesn't have the production value of WWE or AEW. It's not going to have the stars stay there for a long time because rightfully these guys, once they get a name, they want to get a bigger contract. They want to get some more love and some more exposure elsewhere. But Impact Wrestling serves a role where it gives a home to a lot of wrestlers that don't really fit elsewhere. Someone like Brian Myers, who didn't work in WWE, or at least the way he should have. Right. Brian Myers. Matt Cardona, when he comes back healthy, is going to have such a run as this new heel version of himself. W. Morrissey, before he left, reinvented himself again here in Impact as a legitimate threat. PCO finding second, third life in wrestling with this company. Yeah. So I love what Impact offers. It's never going to compete with a WWE or with an AEW, but it has the wrestling we like. It has the characters we like. It highlights women wrestling in a way that few companies do. It is a true fun experience if you just open yourself up to it.
I agree. I totally agree. It's super unique. I would also go as far as to say, I think a certain wrestler from AEW would benefit a lot from going to Impact.
I am fascinated. Who do you have in mind?
Abaddon.
Oh God, yes. Yes, I would love to see Abaddon in Impact. Not necessarily sign with Impact, but if they put her on a few-week trip like they did with some AEW guys in the past, yes. Have her feud with Rosemary. Have her take on, have her take on Masha Slamovic.
Where is Su Yung?
Su Yung, I don't know if I think she's with, no. Yeah, I have no idea where Susan is. Susan, Su Yung, there's a lot of different names.
I need to see her. Woman. I like her.
No, she's been gone for a while. I don't know if she's still signed, but I don't think there was any bad blood there, so I wouldn't be surprised if she popped up at some point in the future.
Sounds good.
I had to think about that for a second. Man, you're getting me excited for Impact, and I appreciate that.
I'm here. I like it. I'll go as far as to say I think I enjoyed tonight much more than I've enjoyed NXT the last 3 months.
Wowza.
And that's saying a lot.
Thank you, Vince McMahon, for ruining that show so I can steal Chad over to Thursday nights. But any other closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
I think I'm good. I'm excited for next week and the week after. I'm here. I think I might even watch Emergence. I'm
Hell
here.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was a fun return trip to the Jimpact Zone. That is still a thing. We will be back next week. I would love to have Chad. If not, I promise I'll cradle you all safely here in the Impact Zone. Get ready for more Impact. Get ready for Emergence. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, Chad.
Of course. Always.
All right. Good evening. Good night. Love you.